Hello, welcome to the 400 Board Game Challenge, where I am playing all the board games in my collection. It has taken 11 months to get to the halfway point, so I feel like I should have a little more urgency in the second half of this challenge. So, the two games I'm going to talk about today are very different: Fire and Axe and Codenames Pictures. Fire and Axe is everything that you would expect from a Viking themed game. In this game, you are doing Viking things. There is trading, settling, raiding, and of course, rolling dice. You will go across the map, going from town to town, doing these Viking things, and your ship is represented by this very clever cardboard player board. There are two decks of cards in Fire and Axe. The Saga cards have specific conditions that will provide in game points. Everyone is trying to complete the requirements for the Saga cards so they can claim it for their points. This deck of cards is the timer for the game. The other deck, called Rune cards, played against your opponent, can greatly affect their progress. They can be pretty devastating depending on the situation. While the combat system is not confrontational toward other players, the rune cards provide a high degree of direct conflict. There is no shortage of player interaction in Fire and Axe. Unfortunately, in our game, we had some rules questions and different interpretations of a couple rune cards, and this led to lengthy discussions and rules that we couldn't agree on, and ending the game before the saga deck was completed. I read one review that said, the first time you play this game, you will play it wrong. And that's pretty much what happened. I'm definitely going to play Fire and Axe again, now that I'm familiar with the rules and how the game plays. Also, with the understanding that games that have a little bit of direct conflict are not for everybody. But I enjoyed Fire and Axe. I have played Codenames quite a few times, but I have never played Codenames Pictures. Both of these games are very highly rated on the Board Game Geek list of party games, and the rules are basically the same. In Codenames, you have two teams. Each team has one player called the Spy Master. They will be giving a one word clue followed by a number. Trap 3. They are giving the clue to one or more players on their team. These players are called field operatives. The field operatives are trying to guess which cards the spy master wants them to pick, based on the one word clue and the number of cards that they have in common with that word. I think it's funny to call this a party game because the people who are giving the clues, the spy masters, are thinking so hard about what word to use. They are wrapping their hands around their head, trying to think of one word that they can use that is common with multiple cards. And the people waiting for the clue, the field operatives, they cannot talk about the main board because they might unknowingly provide information. So there are some very quiet room moments in a Codenames game, but there is also general hilarity during the time when the field operatives are trying to guess the vague clues from the spy master and get it horribly wrong. Specifically, in Codenames Pictures, there are some slightly different contextual clues that a spy master might provide based on the picture. Most of the pictures are nonsensical, not quite the level of Dixit's colorful fantasy paintings, but black and white compositions that combine ideas, shapes, and images in order to broaden the scope of clues for the spy master. This takes a little time to look closely at the picture to make sure that you are seeing what you think you are seeing. Also, the fact that someone will have to look at the drawing upside down. The connections between the pictures are always going to make for some wild, subjective interpretations. I'm not a big fan of most games that fall under the party game category, especially social deduction games. I hate it when a game requires players to close their eyes. I would rather not. But I do own a few of these so called party games because I know that other people like them, and I want to be prepared to play games that other people like. I also imagine introducing these games to a group of my students who don't know anything about games. They don't know any better. So that's cool too. See you next time.